Hey everyone, I am so excited to share with you two upcoming opportunities to grow yourself personally and professionally. I've got two new virtual workshops that will be coming up in January 2021. You can choose either one of them. One of them really has a focus for personal and professional growth for women, and the other one is going to be a focus on time management, which is, I know it's one of the things that I hear so many people say is they need help with learning how to manage time better. And so both opportunities are going to be virtual via Zoom. That's a wonderful thing about technology, is we can reach people all over the place, all over the United States, all over the world, through virtual sessions that will help us grow. I'm going to be covering the material from a couple of my different books in each of these workshops, and you're going to get the copy of the book themselves when you register for the workshop. So two great opportunities coming up. I know you're interested in developing yourself in personal growth, and these are going to be some great opportunities to do that. So looking forward to seeing you all on the workshops. You can get details on both of them, find registration information, all that good stuff. Go to riastory.com/workshop. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first podcast episode of 2021. Can you believe January 2021 already? It seems like 2020 just kind of evaporated. Just so much of the same with staying home and dealing with COVID and quarantine and all of that stuff. And so it seems like the days went by very slowly, but the year seems like it went by so fast. And I cannot believe this is our first podcast episode of 2021. And I'm kind of excited about that because I know a lot of people have kind of been looking forward to the new start and the new year and kind of just mentally taking a deep breath and saying, okay, 2020 was not my year, but it's gonna, things are looking up. We're turning a corner kind of with 2021. Now, the thing is, I hate to break it down, but honestly, just because the calendar has turned over to a new year is not what's going to make this year great, right? Just because the day has automatically changed is not what's going to make you more successful this year than you were last year, right? It's not a function of the calendar that's going to help you be more successful or a healthier version of you or a better version of you or a more intentional version of you, right? You've got to make that happen. It's not that it's incredibly complicated to start working towards a better version of ourselves, but it absolutely is intentional, and it does not happen by accident. So I just have to say that up front right away as we start talking about leading ourselves a little better in 2021 than we did last year. And remember, one of my favorite quotes from Michael Josephson says, "You don't have to be sick to get better," right? There's nothing wrong with you, but you don't have to be sick to get better. I don't have to be sick to get better. And what I know is that those who are interested in personal growth and professional development, they already know they don't have to be sick to get better, but they are committed to getting better. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to be perfect, right? When I say you don't have to be sick to get better, you don't have to be perfect. You just are looking for a little improvement. And if you do that consistently over time, just a little improvement, sooner or later you'll look back and it'll be 2 years later and you'll be like, wow, I have no idea how simple it was to get to this point. Well, I've talked about this before, but consistency beats intensity. And the problem is that this week has been New Year's, New Year's Day, and then over the weekend. And there are a lot of people who had healthy living New Year's resolutions that started probably yesterday. I'm guessing Monday, right after the holiday, and saying, starting Monday, I'm going to get on that diet, or I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to quit smoking, or whatever it is. But consistency beats intensity. Right now, everyone is fired up with the new year, the new resolutions, a new start. It's a new year, and that's great. But motivation isn't enough. That's going to that's going to fade, right? It doesn't matter if you are 100% motivated right now, that's intense, that's intensity. If you are just consistent in acting out what's going to help you reach those goals, and just consistent every day, small steps every day add up over time, they compound. And when I say compound, picture this giant snowball, right? That starts, well, it starts out as a little snowball and it's rolling down a hill. And as it rolls, it gets bigger and bigger and it picks up more momentum. It picks up more snow and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's kind of what we call the snowball effect, right? That's exactly how it is when we talk about becoming a better version of ourselves. If we are just committed to small intentional steps forward, those compound over time. Just like the snowball gets bigger and gets faster as it rolls downhill, your progress will become easier and will accelerate every time you build on the successes of yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. So, I just wanted to do a quick podcast episode. I get a lot of questions on things like healthy living and leading ourselves well. And some of that is just in it's just in my, I'm passionate about it. That's the only way to say that. Because I was that person who didn't take care of my health early on. If you've read some of my books and follow some of my posts and blogs, you know I was that person who didn't know how to cope with emotion and emotional pain, and I didn't know how to cope with the trauma of being sexually abused and trafficked by my father. And my coping mechanism was to turn to sugar, food, sweets, and it would be an entire tub. You know those, if you walk down the grocery store and you're in the cake baking aisle and you see those tubs of cake frosting on the shelf above the cake mixes. And I would eat an entire one of those with a spoon because I didn't know any healthy ways to cope with what I was going through and what was I experiencing. And no surprise, turning to sugar, basically creating a sugar addiction in my life, didn't help me deal with emotional pain and trauma any better. It just, I started to feel bad. I had more skin problems and I didn't look healthy. But the reason I'm passionate about just being a healthier version of myself today is because when I started just taking some group fitness classes at first, and then I started eating a little bit better, and I started turning away from the negative coping mechanisms and turning toward a healthier coping mechanism and exercise. Now, here's what's important. What that did is, number one, it helped give me some emotional strength to make better decisions for myself, but it also gave me a sense of control. And that is absolutely critical because you already know this. There are quite a lot of things that we cannot control in life. Most of what happens we cannot control. But if we focus on what we can control, we find that what we can control expands. And when I realized I could take control of some of my physical dimension of life, that helped me start to take some control of the other dimensions of life. And I promise you, it will work the same way for you. And that's why I'm passionate about health and wellness, because I think it's one of the easier, um, what's a good foundational habits. I think it's one of the easier foundational habits to grab onto because you can see tangible results. You can feel better, you can look better very quickly in the healthy dimension. So, if you focus a little more of your time and energy growing and becoming healthier in the physical dimension, you'll start to look better, you'll start to feel better, you'll see results pretty quick, right? Versus, let's say, the emotional dimension of life. For example, if you dedicate some time every day to reading a book, which you should, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it's going to take you a little bit longer to see the rewards and the fruit from that labor of reading a book versus being intentional with your health. Not that you can't do it. You may read the greatest book for you that has the greatest piece of wisdom that you need to hear right now. So that's absolutely possible. But on average, I think it's easier for people to see rewards and the fruit of their labor from practicing intentionality in the healthy dimension of life, physical dimension of life, faster. And so that's one of the reasons I think it was so effective for me. So, you know, and there again, we're not looking for perfection here. I'm not perfect by any means, but I can look back now over my journey and I can see how far I've come. And it almost seems a little strange these days to think about the things that I don't eat, not because I don't like them. I do, right? All those bad for you things that have lots of preservatives and stuff, all of those things still taste good to me. It's just that I intentionally choose not to put them in my body because that doesn't help me be the best version of myself. But I'm far from perfect, and I've probably shared this with you before. Cheese is one of my favorite, like I think cheese should be a food group. And yet I know that I have to minimize how much of it I enjoy because it's not great for me. So all that to say, give yourself a little grace. You're not looking for perfect here. When I talk about healthier living in 2021, and I'm going to give you some basic tips on that. You're not looking for perfection. Don't try to take all of these tips that I'm giving you and implement them in your life this week, right? Just you might not even choose some from this list, but just choose a couple of things, one or two little things that you can do every single day to be healthier, to be a little more mindful in your physical dimension of life this year. Because I forget who coined the term keystone habit, but a keystone habit is one of those things that when you get that right, it makes it easier to build other good habits on top of it, right? It's kind of a foundation for other great habits. And so being intentional in the physical dimension of life is a keystone habit. Health, wellness, exercise. So that kind of thing. Okay, so just throwing all of that out there. And there again, don't you're not looking for perfect. You're just looking for a little better, right? How can I be a little better than I was yesterday? It doesn't mean you're going to get it right all the time. You won't, I don't, nobody does. But how can I just be a little more intentional? So, one of the things, and some of these tips that I'm sharing, these tips aren't rocket science. Like there's probably no new information. These are just things that I've found that help make it easier for me to live a healthier lifestyle. Now, number one, Mac and I have been drinking fresh vegetable juice for about a little over 2 years now. And if you've never tried fresh, homemade, squeezed fruit and vegetable juice, let me tell you, number one, you're missing out because there is so much concentrated nutrition in juice. And juicing for wellness is an incredibly powerful tool to help you get nutrients that you might be lacking in your diet. The two greatest problems in our regular diet, standard diet as we know it today, is a deficiency of nutrients and toxicity from the things that we don't need, right? So if we can give our body some great nutrients from vegetables and fruits, we can help increase our health. There's no doubt we can decrease inflammation. Our body starts to look better and feel better, and we have more energy. And I did a whole podcast on juicing just I think it was last January. So I won't go into a whole lot of detail on that. But quick note here: if you want to learn, if you've never heard about juicing, you visit the website superjuiceme.com. There's a documentary. You can look up that documentary and just kind of get some basic information. It's funny, we all want to do a little research into whether eating fruits and vegetables is more healthy, but it absolutely is, right? We know that. There are hundreds and probably thousands of diets out there, but pretty much they all come down to, at least most of the decent ones, eat more fruits and vegetables and eat less other stuff. And juicing is a great way to do that. So um, that's the biggest thing for me. That just helps make sure I'm getting great quality nutrition. And then I can focus on just maybe toning down or minimizing some of the things that I really don't need. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. One of the things that really helps me stay away from some of the things I don't need. Number one, um, if I buy it and I bring it home, I'm going to eat it. So this battle starts before I go to the grocery store, before I make my grocery list, and then I have to be very intentional not to see something really good, like ooh, a box of something that looks really tasty, right? Then I have to be very careful. Do I want to intentionally buy this, or is this just a a spur of the moment decision, right? An emotional grocery buy, for example. So be intentional about avoiding those. But here's something that really helps me. Usually on the weekend, it's not always on the weekend, depending on our travel schedule, but usually on a Sunday, maybe when I'm chopping up vegetables to put in my juicer and make tomorrow's juice, I take just a couple extra minutes and I chop up maybe a few carrots and some celery, cauliflower, whatever veggies I have on hand, some extra veggies, squash, zucchini, cherry tomatoes, whatever. And I just have like a gallon Ziploc bag and I just throw some chopped veggies in there. I may not even fill the whole bag up, right? Just a good half a bag of veggies will go a long way. Because here's the thing, a lot of times throughout my day, I'm pretty busy. It's probably not a great habit, but I tend to be pretty wide open during the day. And so at home, if I'm at home and I'm working, I tend to just kind of, sit down at my computer and keep working and then munch through lunch or whatever. And there again, that's probably a habit I could work on. But my point is, what I find is that when I'm kind of in the zone, if I'm focused on writing or doing podcasts or whatever it is, I don't really like to stop and go cook lunch, right? I don't like to interrupt my flow. That's kind of my productive time. And so something that helps me is having that bag of just chopped vegetables that I can snack on. If I need a mid-afternoon snack, right? A couple of carrot sticks and a glass of water go a long way toward helping you fill up a whole lot better than a bag of chips because there's actual nutrition in it that your body needs. So anytime you're in the kitchen, you have a few extra minutes, just chop up some veggies and throw them in there. They'll last several days, Ziploc bagged up. And toward the end of the week, I might have to chop up a few more, but having a good start on the week really helps me. And the other thing that helps me is every time I cook something for myself, I usually cook enough to have 2 or 3 meals. So for example, I cooked pumpkin lentil soup yesterday, and I made a good sized pot of it. Um, and then I had enough for lunch today and probably lunch tomorrow. So I can just put a bowl of that in the microwave, reheat it really quickly, and I don't really have to stop and cook. So you start to see how just having some healthier, easy options helps set you up to be successful for eating healthy. And I guess that really brings me down to what helps you be successful in that is you got to plan your food. You got to plan your meals. Maybe not every meal. Plan for some detours, plan for some unexpected dinner invitations or something like that, or some flexibility. Absolutely. But I like to plan the bulk of my meals up front. Whenever I do my grocery list, I just go on and decide, well, what am I going to cook this week? What am I going to eat? What goes on my grocery list? But that way I've got a game plan, right? And that's what we're really talking about is you just want a game plan to help you eat healthier. Not perfect, just a little bit better than yesterday, right? I've shared with you before my crouton example. I think it was January of last year. I just realized, I mean, I love croutons on a salad and I eat like a big salad every day. So I was eating a good bit of croutons, but I realized that really nutritionally, croutons don't have anything good for you in them. So what I decided was that I could stop getting croutons on my salad, but maybe I could add nuts or sunflower seeds because that actually does have some nutrition and it's got a little crunchy and it's got some flavor. So it was very easy once I realized that to just swap that out. And now I haven't bought croutons in I don't even know how long, probably almost a year. There again, you're not looking for perfect. Just look for little ways that you could say, is there a better version of this that would serve me well? Okay, I could probably talk on and on about healthy eating, but that's a big part of being healthy, health and wellness, because your body needs energy. Whatever it is that you want to do in 2021, you need energy to accomplish it. And the right foods and nutrients from those foods will give you energy. Too much of the wrong things, well, you just won't feel good. You'll feel like blah. It might make you gain weight. Even if you're clinically undernourished, you might be gaining weight. That's absolutely possible if you're just getting tons and tons of empty calories. So, eating, intentional eating, that's what it really comes down to, intentional eating. And then the kind of the second piece of that that goes hand in hand with eating, eating intentionally, is move your body. You don't have to run a marathon like I do. You might not want to run a marathon. You might sign up for a Zumba class, or find an online workout option. I mean, I've been doing that for months due to this pandemic. I had to, I canceled my gym membership. Well, for a long time, the gyms were closed. And so I just invested in some home equipment, nothing expensive, nothing fancy, just a few, some resistance bands, a few weights. And, I find some online programs that just help me stay motivated to move my body a little bit more. And that gives me an option for the days that I'm not out running. You might choose something like that. You might choose to go for a walk. It doesn't matter what you choose, long as you just move your body, because you need energy. And there again, exercise is going to help you have more energy. You'll feel better. You'll be a better, healthier version of yourself if you just make sure you exercise. Start small, just like anything. Don't commit to a whole, couch to marathon plan right now. Maybe just start walking 5 minutes a day. Make your goal so small that 100% you absolutely can keep that commitment you make to yourself. So, eat more vegetables and fruit and less other stuff. Move your body. Number two, um, kind of area that I like to focus on in the physical dimension, or the healthier dimension of life, is the physical environment, right? There's our physical body, and that's kind of a no-brainer. When we say the physical dimension of life, body is what comes to mind, and that's natural. But stop to think about your environment. How is your environment helping you? Is your environment going to help you be a better version of yourself in 2021? And if the answer is no, what little tweaks could you do? For example, I have really refocused on some intentional reading. I've always had reading as part of my personal growth plan, but I've kind of just realized that I want to spend a little more time intentionally reading for personal and professional growth. And so, one of the ways I've set my environment up to help me be more successful in that is that I just have a stack of books sitting on this corner of my desk. And literally, I'm going to count them here. I have my Bible, and I have the study guide for the Bible. I've got one, two, three, four, five books sitting here um, on my desk. And I'm kind of a, multi-reader, I guess. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I tend to read one book until, I feel like moving to another one, and I might come back. If it's a really good book, I might sit down and read it all the way through. But a lot of times I have several books going at once. That's not unusual for me. That might not be your best approach, but it works for me. So I got a stack of books here, but that's one way that I can just be intentional about my reading. Like, it's easy to just look over, usually in the first few minutes of my day, and say, oh, here's the book I'm reading. Let me just pick it up, even if it's just a few pages. I don't have time for hours and hours of reading every day, but maybe it's just a few pages today that I make sure I get that in, and it's there. It sets me up for success. So look around your environment, and it might not be adding something to your environment. It might be getting rid of some clutter. This is a great time of year to just think about going through the closet and getting rid of old clothes. I know I need to do that. That's on my to-do list. Get rid of, clutter or things that don't really help you be the best version of you. And I have to say, this includes relationships that don't serve you or support you or nurture you. Um, and that could probably be a whole nother podcast episode in and of itself, and maybe we'll do that in a future episode. But really, now's a great time of year. Just, take a few minutes and sit down and think back over your year and make a couple of lists. Number one, What did not work well for you this last year? What did not work? And you're not committing to changing whatever you write down. I just want you to be aware of what didn't work well for you this year. What do I need to stop doing? What do I want to stop doing? What do I want to do less of? Whatever that is. And then think about what you need to keep doing. Hey, what's working for me? For me, that's committing to my running, and I've signed up for another marathon because that's working for me. It helps me eat better, it helps me focus on exercise, and so that's something I'm going to keep doing. That's working for me. um, and then the last category is, what do I need to start doing? Right? Because you already in the first list, you already stopped doing something. You already identified something you could cut out. That's going to give you a little more time and energy to start doing something that you need to start doing. Now, these three questions, I'm really going to talk about them well, and how to implement them a little more in depth. I've got a couple of workshops coming up on my book, Primetime: The Power of Effective Planning. And I think these three questions really are powerful when we talk about managing our priorities and planning better and effectively executing on our priorities. And so that's why I share them here. We'll dig really more in depth in the workshop I've got coming up. If you want more details on that, you can visit riastory.com/workshop, and you can just see links to the upcoming workshops I've got, including a couple of choices on Primetime: The Power of Effective Planning. But even if you choose not to attend the workshop, you've got three powerful questions right now that if you will sit down and reflect back on last year, what do I need to stop doing? What do I want to keep doing? What do I need to start doing to help me be healthier in 2021 than I was last year? Whatever that looks like. And then, now you've got a little more information, a little more self-awareness to say, okay, now it's time to think about how I can implement this in small, achievable steps in my life. And you're not looking for perfection. I know I've said that a couple times, but I can't stress it enough, because so many times we get discouraged when it's not perfect, or we get discouraged when it doesn't look like what we think it should look like, or it doesn't look as glamorous as somebody else. You could probably get on Instagram and find all kind of people who are rocking a daily workout, right? But it's so easy to get discouraged when we compare ourselves to that, because that's not you. I forget who says it. Don't compare your journey to others, right? Another way to say that is, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle chapter. You're just in the beginning, so that's okay. Don't play the comparison game, because there's no joy in that. You're just looking to be a better version of yourself. You're not looking to be a better version of anyone else, just a little bit better version of yourself. So there you have it. I hope that these were just a couple of gold nuggets that made me think about how you could be a healthier version of yourself in 2021. Love to hear any other ideas or tips that you found that work for you. So if you got some great insight out of this podcast, snap a screenshot, share it on social media, tag me, and let me know if there were some other tips that I didn't really talk about that have worked for you, because then somebody else might could learn from your journey. And that's really what it's all about, is every single one of us passing on some of the things that we've learned in order to help other people be more successful. Until next time. You are destined to be more. You have untapped potential to do, have, and be more in life. Your dreams are given to you for only one reason, my friend. You are capable of making them come true. But developing your potential and becoming the best version of yourself will require personal growth and transformation. Join me in January for the Fearfully and Wonderfully Me virtual workshop. In this 6-session virtual workshop, you'll discover how to develop your confidence, how to change your mindset, define your dreams as achievable goals, and create a success mindset, and learn how to increase your influence personally and professionally. These principles are the key to developing yourself into the woman and leader you are destined to be. You can find details and registration at riastory.com/fearfully and wonderfully me virtual. See you then.